Mass market sedans, well, they're not quite selling like they used to. Crossover SUVs have shaken up the market and forced some predictable cars that haven't really changed much in decades to suddenly get a lot sharper and a lot smarter too. For 2018, it's the Accord's turn. Honda sells over 300,000 of these every year, and for the 10th generation they've made it more roomy, more sporty, and given it all sorts of goodies to keep you safe and keep you connected too. But will all that be enough to maintain its position as one of the top-selling cars in the US? The 2018 Accord is lower and wider, yet shorter, despite a longer wheelbase, giving it a more purposeful stance. And while the chromed unibrow look in the front won't be for everybody, the overall design looks modern without going overboard, a fault that can be applied to many modern Toyotas. The enlarged cabin and gently sloping rear end create a very different profile for the car, almost making it look like a hatchback. But don't be fooled by appearances. This is still very much a sedan, and only a sedan. I'm sorry to report that the Accord Coupe is dead, at least for now, but the good news is that extra wheelbase means about 2 inches of extra legroom out back, and the old car wasn't exactly lacking for legroom back there before. Now there's acres of space, and up here I've got tons of room too, a lot of shoulder room, plenty of headroom, and really good visibility too. Honda actually pushed the A-pillars out to the side and made them a little bit more narrow, so I've got incredibly good visibility. And then they've added laminated glass, they've given me some sound deadening foam in the roof, and even active noise cancellation, making this a very quiet and a very peaceful place to be. At launch, there will be just 2 engines available for the new Accord. If you want the hybrid, you're going to have to wait until next year. The party starts with a little 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a nice square 192 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. That's up 7 horsepower from last year. This motor is available with either a continuously variable transmission or, interestingly, a 6-speed manual. That'll score you a maximum of 38 miles per gallon. Your other choice is a 2-liter 4-cylinder, which means there is no more V6 available, but don't cry too much. While that 4-banger's 252 horsepower is slightly down over last year's V6, its 273 pound-feet of torque is a significant boost, as is its 34 miles per gallon on the highway. Honda opted to not saddle the 2-liter motor with the CVT. Instead, they've got what we have here, which is a 10-speed automatic. I had the chance to drive all 3 transmissions, and honestly, you kind of can't go wrong. Okay, the CVT isn't really that inspiring to drive, but it does a fair job. The 6-speed manual is really nice, and that's probably my pick of the bunch. The shifts are light and precise, just like you'd expect from a Honda. It does result in a more engaging drive, but honestly, the 10-speed auto is probably the safe bet. It's definitely got the best blend of interactivity with the paddles if you want it, but it's also relaxing and comfortable when you don't want it. It shifts nice and smoothly. It's happy to skip multiple gears when you need a little bit more power now, and overall, that's probably the one to go with. But overall, the Accord's actually really nice to drive, and it's much sharper than the old outgoing Accord. You're seated lower in the car, everything feels a little bit more sporty about it. The steering is very light, but with the variable ratio, it's actually quite sharp and very precise still. And overall, this is actually a really fun car to drive. Adaptive suspension is just the beginning of the high-tech upgrades that the Accord has received this year. All Accords come with Honda Sensing as standard, which gives adaptive cruise and lane keep assist, plus automatic emergency braking, and Honda's great multi-angle rear-view camera. If you're willing to spend a little bit more for safety, you can also add on things like blind spot monitoring, rear cross-traffic alerts, and a driver awareness package too. In the dash, we have Honda's latest infotainment system lurking behind this 8-inch touchscreen. We've also got wireless charging down here in the center console, so you can just throw your phone in there and have it charge itself. And NFC pairing, which is really great. There's a spot here in the dashboard. If you have an Android-based phone, just tap your phone on there and it'll pair with Bluetooth automatically. You don't even have to plug it in or go through any menus on your phone at all. It happens just like that. If you do want to plug in your phone though, you've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay support. So regardless of which side of the fence you're on there, you're covered. But the most exciting thing about the infotainment system, it's right there. Right there. See that? It's a volume knob. Previous to this, Honda went with like a touchscreen slider thing, which everybody hated. Now for this, they brought back a volume knob, and that's really, really exciting. Well, I think it's exciting anyway. The new Accord isn't a performance car by any means, but the adaptive suspension plus that Type R 6-speed manual certainly put it at the head of the family sedan pack when it comes to people who want to drive their cars, not just get from A to B. While the other updates don't exactly break that classic Accord formula of practical, comfortable, and presumably reliable, they also don't break another key part of that equation, which is affordable. The new Accord starts at $23,570, just a couple $100 more than the outgoing car. That's a fair price for what seems to be a great car, one that I think you'll be seeing everywhere soon enough.